How did that happen actually? And I knew just now. I turned back and saw that it is completely disconnected. My God. All right. Well, present now. I don't know how did that happen. Please let me know in that case. You can give me a call or something. I did not see that because once I get into the software, I cannot see what's happening on this other side. You can see the software now.
Yes, sir.
Oh God, I'll have to show you. You did not see anything.
No, sir, we
No,
did
sir.
Okay. All right. Oh my God. All right. I'll start again from the first. Okay. All right. So yes. Right. So the first thing what we'll have to do the moment you open your software, you will by default you will get into some of the project, that is activity sheet like this. You will have to come out of that first. You will have to click on this enterprise, click on this project, so that you are there into the project page. So once you are there into this project page, you will have to click on this option called as enterprise. Now first let's understand what is that, what we are going to do. The first thing you will have to create is EPS, enterprise project structure. Enterprise project structure means it's a hierarchical representation of an organization. Why do we need this hierarchical representation of an organization is because every company works with the respective verticals. Usually every company will have a different verticals of working, and these verticals brings different parts, different scopes. Every verticals have its own independent scope to do lots of projects. So every company wants to do it in that way. So what we do is we'll have to create an hierarchical representation of an organization. So how do we do that? By clicking on enterprise option, you have an option here called as EPS. EPS is nothing but enterprise project structure. The moment you click on this EPS, you will have an option called as add here, right? So I have just click on this add to create this ANP. So you can click anywhere, okay? You can click anywhere and then click add. The moment what happens, you click wherever you click and then say add, it gets added below to that. What do you mean by below is it will create under it, right? So right now I have clicked on this DEF and then clicked add. So you can see that this new EPS is coming under this. So how do we do that? I do not want it to be under anything, so this is something called as shift left, shift down, up, left, right, and also I'll shift it left in the sense I'm bringing it out completely. It is not under anything. So I'll have to give the name and the EPS ID. So I have just given it as ANP company. ANP is one of the very fast developed over a period of time. They are very fast developed PMC in India. It's AN Prakash company. One of the competitor for all the MNCs of construction management, construction management or project management companies what we have in India. So this ANP, I've just created a company. Under that they have three main verticals. The three main verticals are project management, HVAC, and constructions. You can click every time on ANP and then add, and then you'll get one more child of that, right? So like this what we have created. So probably this is into say that land survey, some services what I'm mentioning. So there are different services what they do. This is one of them. So this is how we have distributed them. So you can create as much as you want in the sense maximum up to 50 levels you can do. Right now what I have created is the 2 levels. The first level is this ANP company. Under that I have created the second level is project management, HVAC, constructions, and land survey. All four of them are there in the second level, right? Under that, for example, under construction, again still if you want to create something, I want to click on that and then you can say up and then say right. You can see here it is under constructions, right? So I'll say this is as or I have a vertical 1 or vertical 1, vertical 2, it could be anything, you can create as much as you want and then say close. You can see the similar structure has been created here, right? This is ANP. Under that we have project management, HVAC, constructions, land survey. Under that when you open it, either you can directly create a project or under a vertical if you want to create, you can create it, right? So if you just have to click on that and then say click add, you can see the new dialog box is coming up. You can do it in this way, or there's an option of right click. The moment you right click on any EPS, whichever EPS where you want to create your project under, so there you can right click and then say click add, or just a insert button also works out. The moment you click on that next, you will find a project ID and the project name. For example, anything which you would like to, project name could be, I just gave it as a dwelling stars. I don't know what it was. I just gave a name and then say finish. So this is the name of my project. Right now its project is open. You can see there are multiple projects open right now. Scheduling consulting project is also open, and dwelling stars is also open. So both the projects are open. So if I just have to close one and open the other, I can do that. Or basically we never know, because there are lots of projects and lots of people are working towards that. So my login ID is also, probably I'm held responsible for 4-5 projects. I do not want to merge them and mix up all those stuff. So it's always a good habit, go to the file option. So there's something called as close all, or you can use a shortcut also. It's Control plus W, and then everything get closed, and right click and say open, or Control plus O also works. Click on the project which you want to open, only that particular project gets open, and then rest everything is still closed, right? Now once the project is created, the next most important stuff, I'm just ensuring that the things are not disconnecting again, right? Once the project is created, EPS is created, project is created, the next very important thing what you need for a project is calendars. Calendars are the most important part, because the rest everything, the whole schedule what you create after the project is dependent on the calendar what you create it and assign to it, right? So to create a calendar, there's an option here called as enterprise. The moment you click on this enterprise option, you have this pop down window, and then in that you have a calendar option. Now in this calendar option, there are 3 categories: global, resource, and project. Usually what these categories are for, I do not call it as a types. It's going to be unfair when you say it as types of calendars, because types of calendars in words are in usually when we say types of calendars, different. Types of calendars could be a project calendar, a resource calendar, activity calendar. So that could be a types of calendar. So I do not call it as a types here. I can call it as a categories under which you can create. So the 3 categories under which you can create. If you create a calendar under a category called as a global, then that particular calendar can be used by anybody, right? Anybody across any EPS. Assume your company is an MNC and you're there into 22 different countries, and your projects are across the globe. So what happens when you start accessing the calendars on which particular you want? You can use a global standard calendar, so that calendar can be accessed anywhere and anybody on any project. But if you want to be very specific only to your project, then you will have to click under a project category and then say add. So whichever category you click, it's only a category. It does not have any different types to be set, right? So there's third category called as resource. Resource is only for creating a resource calendar for resources, not for a project. Global and project is for a project, but for a resource is only for a resources, human resources basically. So under that you have 2 options: personal calendar, shared calendar. Personal calendar is this calendar is for a specific human resource. If you create this calendar, then it can be assigned to, say, about a site engineer, junior planning engineer, site construction manager, or anybody. You can create a separate customized calendar for them, like say when they are working, when they are not working, how many hours they are working per day, how many days in a year they work for, how many leaves has been permitted from them. So all that particular things can be added into that and can be customized to that particular human resource. But when you create a resources like a mason, carpenter, or any unskilled labor, probably when we do not know their each and individual names and all, they are not registered employees of your companies, so you cannot create a personal calendar to them. So what you can do is you can share a calendar. You create one calendar, say about steel fixers have to work for 8 hours and the carpenters have to work for 10 hours, masons have to work for 12 hours. Probably they have their own different calendars, and then you can create those calendars and share with those particular human resources. That we can do with the resource calendars. Global, as I told you, you just have to create here. So the moment you click on this and say add, The creating is same no matter under which category you create a calendar. Creating and the method of doing it is same. So when I click on add option, you will have to click on any of the existing calendar. Now this, why do we need this existing calendar? Because you need a skeleton, right? So you need a skeleton to create something. So the moment I click on add, you can see here any of these existing calendars which are available here. I'll probably click one of them and then say assign. So you can see I have created a calendar. Now excuse me, I'm just giving some name. I just gave it as dwelling, and it's here, right? I have just created a calendar. Now I have clicked on something and then just have created. So I'm not sure that what is working hours, how many times it is, what is which day holiday, and all those stuff. So to ensure that all those things are properly being done, I'll just click on this modify to verify that, and then I see that, oh, it's something different which I do not want it to. It says it's a 5 days working and probably 10 days per day. I want it to be different. I'll go to this detailed work hours per day. I'll click on this work week. You can see I have work days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and all. I'll select the weeks, days of the weeks, and I'll select this working hours. I'll say work. So this is a working hours. So what I have selected, you can, the moment you come and see here, you can see it's 10 hours per day what I wanted for 6 days. Okay, I want something different now. I'll just click on detailed work hours per day. Then again I'll click on work week. Again I'll select all Monday to Saturday. Assume I want a break in between. So 1 to 2 o'clock I have a lunch break, which I do not want to consider as a working hour, right? So you can see here I have selected between 1 to 2 here in between. The 2 blocks. Each block is 30 minutes. So I have selected 2 blocks, that is 0 to 30, 30 to 60, means 1 to 2. So I've selected that and I'll make it as non-work. And I'll say okay. Now you can see it was 10 hours early, now become 9 hours, because there's a gap of in between, 1 hour in between, so which will not consider as a working hour. So now it is 9 hours per day and 6 days a week, right? So this is how you can do. The moment you do that, you will have to click on this time periods to do changes here as well. I have selected default calendar was for this early, it was 10 hours, so I made it as 9, so I'll change it here. I'll say okay. Now rest everything, there's no changes, right? Now the next is exceptions. For example, I want to make 15th August holiday. You just have to double click to make it as a holiday, or usually we call it as a non-work exception, right? So when you click on this and then select that particular day and double click it, it becomes an non-working day. So you just have to double click it, right? So 1st November is already Sunday. So I'm just double clicking that, so you can see it's a holidays. So it's called as non-working day. It's called as exception also. It's a non-working exception, you can call it as. Why do we call exception? Because standard is 9 hours per day. So if something is not standard, then we call it as an exception. Simple as that. It's called as non-work exception. Few times what happens, there might be a requirement when you're creating a resource calendar and all, where you will have to customize that particular day's work, not for the whole week, only for this particular Wednesday, that's on 1st of July. I want my particular employee to work only for the first half, no matter what may be the reason. It could be a client audit, it could be anything. I'm talking about on the project. Probably his personal calendar says that his punch in login time and log out time of the company might be 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. We do not have any bother, we are not bothering about that. Hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say. Is an employee who comes to an office, there's a biometer in his office probably, and he'll sign in probably at that particular time, and he'll sign off after 10 hours. But in project management, probably it shows only 4 hours, because the amount of work which he has worked on that particular project is only 4 hours on that particular day, and the rest other thing could be a client audit or something else. He's busy in something else, so we are not considering that working hours also. If you want that specific changes which you want to do, you can do it here. Or at any point of time, any changes you have done and you feel that okay, now these changes are not required, I want to make it back again standard, click on that particular thing, and there's an option called as standard. You click on this, the exceptions become standard, right? For example, 15th August, I'll make it as standard again. You can see here this becomes again 9 hours working. The moment you double click here, it becomes 0. As simple as that, right? So you can create the exceptions, work exceptions, non-work exceptions, as much as you want, and then say OK. So it has been created. Now very important thing, I was just telling you about this default. I was telling in the sense I was the only person who was talking, you people were not listening it. The moment you create any calendar, ensure that you make it default. Why to make it default is, what will happen when you create a calendar and then assign to a specific project and you start working, you expect that everything to follow the same calendar. The assumption, if you are not expecting that, it's good. But usually what happens when you start working onto a project, when you open a project, when you start creating the activities, giving the relationships and all, you expect that your Gantt chart should also work with respect to your project calendar. But how? Your Gantt chart do not know what calendar your project is working on. It's only to your project to schedule your activities and calculate the work hours. It takes the calendar, but your software do not know which particular project, which particular calendar your project is working on. So if you make it as a default, what will happen? Any of the things, like for example resources, steps, or Gantt chart, timeline, time scale, anywhere there is a calendar applicable, all those features automatically take the default calendar and start working, right? So to ensure that there is a proper synchronization between your project and the other things, ensure that make it as a default, the calendar which you want to work, right? So I've just made it as default calendar and then say close. We just have created a calendar, but we haven't assigned it yet. To assign a calendar, you will have to click on this detail window. In detail window, you'll have to click on this defaults, and in defaults you have an option called as calendar. Click on this. You have this option called as global calendar or project calendar. So you will have to identify where you have created. If you have created under global calendar, then you will be able to find it here, right? So we have created it as dwelling. So I'll click on D, and then there's option here, and then say assign. The calendar has been assigned. Now excuse me, now the calendar has been created, that's all, and then assigned. But ensure that press F5 or go to file and just say refresh once, because this is a server based software. So lot many times is a one that refresh is required for synchronizing your database to your the tool what you are using from remotely, so that it is assigned properly. So right now it is assigned here. You can see this project is open and we have assigned this calendar to this. Perfect. So what we have done, we have created EPS, we have created project, and we have created calendar, and then we have assigned a calendar to the project. The next very important part, once the calendar is created, is you will have to get into the project now, right? So the first thing what we have to do is we will have to understand what is the project. Project is there's some dwelling stars. I don't know what, something came to mind, I just typed something, but what is that? What construction it is? What building it is? Is it a road project? It's a construction of a residential building, a commercial building? What it is? It's a mall? What it is? So we don't know. There's something called as project scope and product scope. Right now I want a product scope. Probably the other project what I was talking about, project scheduling consulting project. Now scheduling consulting project, say about I have a Middle East project to me, and which is where they'll give me all the raw data and I'll have to create a schedule to them and give back. Now this is called a scheduling project. Now scheduling project, where I need to understand what is when I say raw data, that is my collection of the requirements, right? Requirements, you need to understand what is the project. So how do you collect those requirements? Probably you do a survey, you will do observations, you will do question areas, right? You will do group discussions with your teams, with your different set of people of your organization. You do a group discussion with your clients. If you have a different contractors, you bring those onto the board and then you have a discussion to collect a lot of ideas or requirements, basically not ideas but requirements, to understand what is this project, right? So once we start collecting the requirements, we understand the product scope of the requirement, and then that's how the projects can be broke down into, right? So that breaking down of a project, we call it as work breakdown structure. To create or to break down this project scope, you will have to create WBS. We call it as work breakdown structure. Yeah, there. Am I audible? Hello. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Right. So you will have to create work breakdown structure. So to create this work breakdown structure, you will have to again click on this option called as enterprise, and sorry, you will have to click on this project because we are into a project now. So you'll have to click on this project and you have this option called as WBS. Now you can see that there's already this project has there, and the breakdown have to be created. Now the first breakdown, what could be the first breakdown of this project? I'll click on something like this, and I'll say this is my I've created something called as initial documentations. That is all including approvals and all those stuff. Then this is my construction, right? So initial documentation, construction, both are different breakdowns of a project called as dwelling stars. Now probably under construction, I'll click one more. You can, how did I say it's under construction? Because I clicked on construction and then clicked on add. If I have to create something of similar level, like of initial documents and construction, I'll have to click on dwelling starts and then say add. So if you remember, you just have to, wherever you click on that and then add, you will get something below that, as I told you earlier, right? So you can see here right now, that's what I have done. So it is coming under, or else you can see this numbers also, 55, 55.1, 55.2. Why do we get 55? Because when we created a project, by default it has taken a project ID as new project 55. I did not change anything, I just said finished. So that's the reason why it is taking 55.1, 55.2, and this is 55.2.1 because this is something under this, right? Right, now if you want to see it in little hierarchical structure, I'll just change the layout. Click on this layout here, and then say open. You can say no, and then there is something called as WBS standard view. Click on that and say apply. One second. This is chat. So we have changed this. I'll do this later. The chart which you will get it here like this, but this is very difficult for you to create like this, you know, clicking on this and then say add. Here if you click on add, there's something new which will get added to that particular level, so you, that becomes very difficult for you to understand where to click and all. So better you click on this, use this layout, WBS or WBS standard. Actually you can use WBS standard view. Mine is little somebody have changed the complete layout, customized layout they have done, but yours might work properly there. Okay, so you can see here 1, 2, 2.1, 2.1.1. that's what I just created. I'll just delete this, I do not want that. Alright, so it takes little time. You can see this black color, this has to complete here. You know, this means it's still on in progress, so you just have to wait till it responds back, as it's a server, so it takes some time. Yeah, you can see now I'm creating something like this here. I'll say substructure. I'll click again on construction, I'll click on add, I'll say superstructure. Right, so both of them are into a same level, but both of them are under construction. Now something, if I have to again create under that, then I have to click again add, and then probably I can click create whatever I want under superstructure. Again, what I want, probably a floors and all those stuff you can create. You know, probably if I have to create a ground floor, then click again there and then say first floor. You can see every time I'm clicking on superstructure and then adding it, so that it is getting added below that, you know, and second floor like this. right? So if you want to see this into hierarchical structure, then you can go to this activity page. You can see here which we have created there. It has come here: initial documentation, construction. Under that, substructure, superstructure. Under that we have floors. Probably under that again there's a column works, beam, slab, so on and so forth. So we can create an activities there again in a superstructure. What other things have to be there? So that could be a WBS, or you can create an activity also. So how do we know that till where we have to break down this? Usually we break down up to until unless we get a single scope of the work. When I say superstructure, where there's a lot of scope again. So I mentioned something very ground floor, first floor. Now when I say first floor, superstructure first floor is sufficient? No, there are multiple scope again under that. So what are the multiple scopes we have? Still again you have to break down that, right? So there's something called as column works. Now column works is an activity or a WBS? Project management says if your company wants column works to be an activity, then you can still do it. It should not be a problem. Column works, so many days, so many resources are required. But the problem will be, as we have a multiple scopes to be done under column works, right? There's a foam work which you have to do. Probably today, if it is a metal foam which is already ready made, you just have to bring in, put it there, and then stuff. But if it is an wooden foam which you have to create, then the carpenters have to make ready there itself. You just have to give them a material, and then this particular work starts. So that particular foam work is a different scope, and steel fixing is a different reinforcements. Your steel fixers work is different, concrete work is different. So there are again different scopes into the activity, right? Scope. So until and unless you get a single scope, when I say concreting, it is only a concreting. When I say there's only a single scope. When I say steel fixers, they have only single scope of work. So when there is a single scope, until unless you get a single scope, you will have to keep on breaking down this scope of the work, so that we call it as a WBS. The moment you get a single scope, that is called as activity, right? So for example, if we'll have to again break down this, again I'll have to go to this option, click on this ground floor, again click on this, and then you can see that is something called as column work. And then when I click on this column works, it goes to the project. You can see, oh it's okay. So you can see it has been created like this. And then further to this, if you want to create an activity under that, you will have to click on that WBS and then say add. You can see here the activity has been created. This is how the activities is created. Now activities is what? Activity which has single scope. Project and WBS, where until unless you get a single scope, you will have to keep on creating WBS, right? Like for example, if I have to say marking of columns, and then probably I'll add one more activity. I'll call it as reinforcement, and then I'll add shuttering, concreting, right? So de-shuttering, and so on and so forth. So you can create as much as you want. You can go up to the level of detailing you want. If you want more detailing, then you can tell about what is happening in reinforcement also, but that could be too much to do anything. Monitoring and planning becomes too difficult for you. So, and remember, that's how it has to be understood. Lots of people have this question. When I do a corporate training also, there's a question which been asked is, how do we understand this is a WBS or an activity? Can I make column works itself as an activity? Yes, why not? But there is a multiple scope into it. If you do not want detailing, then you can make it as activity. You do not have to create it as in WBS. Do I have to create again separately for all these activities for slab and beams? Yes, because slab marking, reinforcement, shuttering work is different than what I have done it for column works. The quantities are different there, resources are different there, days happening is different there, right? So that is again It got disconnected again. Oh God. Thank you. You people have told me, or else I would have done this again. I was there. I was just checking in between, but still I was little cautious. I don't know what's happening with my internet today. Am I audible now? I'm using different internet right now. I have just again connected with a different set of internet. Am I audible? Guys, am I audible? Yeah. Let me know, because I'm using my different internet now connection, different internet connection. The first internet connection which we connected, that internet connection, I'm using it now currently. Let me check again. This should not be a problem today. I think I have seen it quickly. The moment you people shared me the message, I was very quick to see it. I guess you people were there till when we were creating activities and all, no? Yes. Yeah. So you people were there when we were creating activities and all. Right. So this is how an activities can be created. Now by default it takes some duration, because the duration, by default duration is there mentioned in our software. So by default some duration it is taking there automatically, right? So this is again can be customized. Right now by default you will have some thing called as original duration, which will not be there like this. Baseline duration and all, which we have inserted it to to the next the thing which we wanted to do. So you can see here the durations are there by default. Probably it will be 5 days duration here, or 4 days duration, or whatever, whatever default we have given, that will be mentioned here. Alright, so like this, assume this is the default one. Now if you want to give a duration first or relationship first, what is that first you want to do? Let's answer. What is that first you people want to do? Your voice is cracking, sir. Audio is not clear. Here the audio is not clear, and that connection I'm not sure. Just a second. Let me check my connection. The connection which I'm connecting right now is really good, but why it is fluctuating from morning? It's not now. It's from morning my internet connection is getting fluctuated. I don't know what is the reason. There is some problem with modem, I believe, because this modem is getting restarted, and whenever there's a restart of this modem, that problem is happening actually. Am I audible now? My audio is clear. Am I clear now? Yes, Rajat, Sachin, it's clear. Yeah, all right, let me check now. Should not be a problem. Okay. Right, so we have created activities, we have given durations right now. Now my question was, why did I come here to see you people, was do you want to create relationships first, or will you create or you will assign duration first? What is first? What do you think? Relationships to be given first to understand the dependencies and all, or we'll have to estimate the durations first and then give a relationship? What do you feel? I want you people to answer one at least. Duration first, Avinash. Avinash feels that durations has to be estimated first and then the relations to be given. There is no specific rule as such, right? There is no specific thumb rule to as such that it has to be done it in this way only. But what Avinash said is true. The reason is very simple. We will have to estimate what this activity first. No, we were discussing about the scope of a project first, and then we started breaking down. Similar way, we'll also have to break down our WBS, that's work breakdown structure, to get our activities, to understand what is this all about, how much we have to do, how much time does it take. Estimation of an activity is very important because it tells us that how we are doing it. Then creating a dependency becomes easier. right? Dependencies are there in lot of ways, not only in terms of work. I was explaining you that probably you say that okay, this finishing this particular, or both the activities have to be started simultaneously. There's an relationship called as start to start, right? So we have given one of our activity as a start to start relationship, but the problem is you do not have a cash flow, or there is no there's a unavailability of the resources is a bigger problem. So availability of the resources are not there on that particular day, so you cannot start simultaneously. So when you assign the durations, you will be understanding that. So estimating duration is very important. The moment you estimate the duration, say about like, I'll give this an activity 1 day, this activity is for 4 days, shuttering is for 2 days, concreting for 2 days, de-shuttering is another 1 day, and whatever this activity this I left it out, I'll just leave it as it is. So these are the 6 activities what I've just created. Now what I do, I'll have to give a dependencies. The moment you estimate the duration, I told you there are 3 different ways how do we estimate the activity, how do we come to know how much time does it take. So one, either a parametric estimation for understanding or to having to estimate an activity with the parameters. You need 2 parameters. One parameter is you need to know the quantity of the work, means how much of the marking or how much reinforcement of the work have to be done, how much shuttering has to be done. So you need to know the quantity. Second, what you need, we need a second parameter. What you need is what else? One is quantity. Second, what you need, productivity. Who is going to do it and how we are doing it. It's a labor, manual, automatic, machineries we are using, what is that and how much productivity it brings, right? So we need a productivity and a quantity. If you come to know what is the quantity and what is the productivity, automatically you can tell in how much time we can do this. That is the one way, that is called as parametric estimation, where you need both the things, both the parameters. Then another way of doing it is called as analogous estimation. Analogous estimation is totally based upon the history, the way I did it just now. I know every time it takes 1 day marking, 4 days of reinforcement, 3 days of reinforcement, 2 days of shuttering, with all the reserves I'm talking about. So it probably reinforcement not take 4 days, it might take only 3 days, but I've just kept 1 day reserve. Shuttering might not take 2 days completely, it might take 1.5 day, but just another half day I've kept it for as a reserve. So like this, I just have with an experience, past experience, we call it as analogous estimation, comparison to something which has already happened. There's one more way of estimation is called as 3-point estimation, where we do not have any experience also, and where we do not have parameters also to do that. There's something where we call it as an most likely. Most likely is always an average of optimistic and pessimistic. Doing a research survey, coming to a conclusion that what could be an optimistic way of doing it, and the pessimistic duration of that, and most likely when it might happen. So most likely is the duration which we want to consider. So these are the activities estimated in that way, right? So most of the time our company uses parametric estimation. With the help of the parameters, we have created something called as an asset for a company, and then every time you can use it in analogous estimation and then add the durations to the activities, right? So once the durations has been added to the activity, the next is giving the dependencies. Giving the dependencies is nothing but giving the relationships to the activity. There are 4 types of dependencies: mandatory dependency, discretionary dependency, internal dependency, external dependency. These are the categories of dependencies under which we create, and the types of relationships are finish to start, start to start, finish to finish, and start to finish. Just a permutation and combination of both, right? So it's a combination how we work it. Like for example, finish to start is, it's a mandatory relationship. One activity has to finish to start the other. Like for example, I click on the reinforcement activity here. I'll go to this option called as predecessor. You will have to remember 2 things: predecessor, successor. Predecessor is a previous activity, successor is the next activity, right? So I'll click on the reinforcement activity, I'll click on assign, I'll say that marking is the predecessor of reinforcement, and probably I'll say shuttering is the, for reinforcement, where is successor? You can do this also. Click on successor, and for reinforcement I'll say shuttering is the successor. I'm adding both at once. If it is confusing for you people, then you don't do that. What you can do, you can cancel this. Anyway, for reinforcement you have given the predecessor. Anyway, for reinforcement we have given marking as a predecessor. Click on shuttering, again click on the predecessor, go to this assign option, click on reinforcement, so it is a predecessor. Means what does that mean? You can see here, after marking the reinforcement and then shuttering, and then after the shuttering is completing, then we'll have to do a concreting, right? So I'll click on concreting, I'll say assign, click on shuttering, say assign, so that you can see after finishing of shuttering work, the concreting work is happening. Then again click on this next activity is de-shuttering. I'll click on that, and then I'll again click on this concreting, I'll say assign, right? So there is some activity called as new activity which I haven't given anything, so I'll just relate it. So you can see I have created everything as a finish to start. Probably this activity I want to start simultaneously with the de-shuttering. The moment the de-shuttering activity starts, this activity also have to happen simultaneously. So I'll click on this new activity which I want to start with the de-shuttering simultaneously. I want to change the relationship. You can see here relationship type. There's something called as finish to finish, finish to start, start to finish, start to start, right? I'll click on finish to start. It's finishing and then starting. It's default, but if you want to change the relationship, you can change it. You can see automatically the things are getting changed here. Now this is start to start relationship, right? Both the activities starting on a same date. So you can give whatever you want. It could be finish to finish. For example, if you give it as a finish to finish, you can see both the activities are getting finished at the same day. So it takes early start and a late start. You need to know that. The concept called as critical path method, which we have explained on that particular day. The longest path of the project is known as critical path, or if you want to go with the formulas, late start minus early start. If you get something called as 0, if late start minus early start is equal to 0, then that activity is called as critical activity. All the critical activities of a path is called as critical path. Usually that will be the longest path of the project. Alright, so you can see here right now we do not have any other path. There's only one path, so it's everything, all the activities are critical here in this case. Now if I want to give a lag, say that there's a I can double click here in between the links also to do edit in terms of relationships and all, or else if you just want to follow the traditional way, you can click on this activity. I want a lag in the sense delay. You can see here there's a 0 right now. I'll make it as 1. You can see here it is getting increased. Both the activities are start to start. Relationship is start to start, but with the 1 day delay I'm starting this new activity. So it could be 1. If you give it as a only 1, it is increasing, right? I'll make it 0. It's start to start. But if I make it as negative, that's minus 1, that means it will decrease one particular one day duration, as much as you give. So negative, that means it's decreasing the durations from the schedule, plus when you give, it's adding the duration into the schedule. So that's how you can use this lag option. Okay, and if I just give 1, you can see it is adding, it is increasing the duration, and the summary of that, it is showing you here what is the total duration for these number of activities. It is taking 15 days to finish this, right? So this is how it can be done. This is where the scheduling can be done. This is the way we can do a scheduling here, right? So once we do this much, we'll have to create the roles and the resources, and in fact we have a lot of things. Constraints, there is again, when you constrain is a limitations. If you want to constrain any activity, it is not compulsory. If you want to constrain something, usually when we do that, when you have lots of non-critical activities, if the activity is critical, you need not give a constraint, because the activity itself is a constraint. It means it do not have any float, it do not have any extra days, you cannot do any adjustments. Every day that much of amount of work has to be completed. If not, then the whole project will be affected. But if there are activities which are non-critical, the non-critical activities means the activity which has extra days durations, and that extra duration is not affecting the total duration of the project. So what will happen when we have something extra all the time? We are tend to use it. That's how the tendency is, because we feel that it's anyway, we have extra days here, we can relax, we can remove the resources here. Yes, of course, that is being given for that purpose only, but we should not forget that extra days is also a limited. We cannot use it forever. So that limitations, if you want to give, then probably you will have to use this constraints. So in this status bar, you can see there are different 9 types of constraints which are available. You can see your constraints. So there are different 9 types of constraints which are available: as late as possible, finish on, start on, mandatory finish, start on or after, start on or before, finish on or after, finish on or before. So there are 9 totally constraints. One is from again these 9 types of constraints are categorized into flexible constraint, non-flexible or semi-flexible constraint, non-flexible or inflexible constraint. Flexible, inflexible, semi-flexible, and we also call something as a rigid. Rigid is like mandatory start and mandatory finish. We call it as a rigid constraints, where it is rigid. You, no matter what the start at, if you say mandatory start it on 25th of July, then no matter what your previous activity is affecting, delayed, not delaying, it will not change it in the schedule. So it will be scheduling it from 25th of July only. But if you say only start on, if your predecessor is not finishing on 24th of July, say it is finishing on 26th, then automatically the new activity which was supposed to be started on 25th will get rescheduled from 27 because of predecessor, right? As you told, after the reinforcement only the shuttering has to happen. But if you give it as a mandatory start, reinforcement is still not completing, but the schedule says the shuttering is started already. So you will have to ensure that what constraint you are putting, you have to be very sure about it. So usually we say if there is no non-critical activity, do not use constraint. If there is only a non-critical activity, wherever there is a non-critical activity and you want to restrict that, there where you can use the constraints. All right. And then we saw about codes, grouping, filtering and all. Grouping, filtering is something where you have group by and filter by. There are lots of predefined grouping and filtering also, and which you can create something new as well. We told you about codes. You will have to create the codes also for that to create a grouping. I'll not get into that. That does not have much importance actually, but we'll get into the resources and the roles. What do you think? You want to see codes also once? You want to see codes once? It's already 5:13, so I'm just asking you people. There's only few people who are left out, and actually anyway there are only few people who have joined today. So do you want to continue? You want to stop it here because 2 times in between I got missed out. You want me to continue? What do I feel? There's no response. You, yes, okay. Do you want to see codes or I'll go to roles and resource? Okay, Rajat, yes, I'll come to baselines. I'll first, okay. Avinash says that he wants to see the codes also. Let me show you quickly. There are 3 again codes. Codes are usually, what is coding. Coding is usually basically for sorting. Whenever you need something to be sorted, you go to the code, and based upon some particular code we start sorting the things. So similar way, codes can be created for various categories: activity code, project code. The codes can be created for resources as well. So you can sort your activities with respect to some code. You can sort your projects with respect to some code. You can sort your resources with respect to some code. Right now you can see my activities are sorted with respect to the WBS, right? So this is a WBS which is sorting my activities, grouping my activities basically. If you go to this project, you can see my projects have been grouped with respect to the EPS, enterprise project structure. So you can create your own code and then start grouping or sorting your activities, projects or resources. So how do we do that? You will have to click on this option called as enterprise. There's an option called as resource code, project code and activity code. So when you click on this code, it's the same method of creating is same. You create it for resource, you create it for project, or you create it for activity. The method is same. You have to just click on that and then say modify, because you cannot say add here. The moment you click on add, you are creating something of technology rating, which I do not want. I'll click on add. So here you can see this is where a project code definitions are. That means you have to define. The moment I click on add, you will have to define a code on basis of what you want to group your projects into, right? It could be anything. Right now I can give as expectations, expected finish dates, finishing quarter. I'm just giving some name, because lots of things which already been given, so every time finding it out new is difficult for me. So I'm just typing something called as finishing quarter. Finishing QTR is nothing but finishing quarter. Means I want to group my projects to see that which project is finishing under which quarter. Okay, very simple. I'll say close, and you can see here the moment I close you can find it here, right? So I'll say add. I'll say it's a Q1. I'll say it is a QTR. Description can be anything, you can type whatever you want. I'm just typing it as QTR1. This is my Q2. This is my Q3. This is my Q4. So I have 4 quarters, so and so forth here. I'm just doing copy paste to save some time, I guess, but I don't know how much to save. Okay, I just create it and then say close, then click on a project, and this where you want to assign. You just have created a code and its values, but you still haven't assigned it to the project. So click on the project wherever you want to assign it. Here in this detail window you have an option called as code, right? Here it is now, and when you click on this assign, you'll be able to see that finishing quarter what you have created, right? I am just selecting and I'm assigning. You can see here for this particular project I have made as Q4, and this project is finishing in Q3. Means this project is finishing on the 4th quarter, and this project is finishing on the 3rd quarter. This project finishing in the 1st quarter, this project is finishing in the 2nd quarter. And I'm just selecting something to show you, so that it is not wasting much time also of ours. And like this I can assign to all the projects, existing project, the way I want to monitor it, right? The moment you do it, how do we do grouping? Now there's an option here called as grouping, group and sort by, or you will find it here in this option called as view also. The moment you click on this view, you can see there's an option called as group and sort by, and then you will have to go to this customize option. Here you get an option called as, or whatever the name you have given, what name did you give? FFF. Right, so we have here finishing quarter, right? So I have selected that. I'll say apply, I'll say okay. You can see here this is Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So this is no quarter. That means this project, any project which has not been coded will come under this no finishing quarter, right? There's nothing code been assigned. So this is how you can do a grouping, and the grouping happens with respect to everything in terms of schedule, date, duration, cost, any assumptions which you have created. Assumption is nothing but planning. So any planning which you have done, all the summarizing of that happens to Q1, Q2. Not only assumption but also actuals. If you want to see what has happened in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, you can do this coding like this, and then the analysis and report generations becomes easy in this way, right? Similar way you can do it for activities also. The way I have created and done it for project, similarly I'll have to click on enterprise. Either it could be a resource code or activity code. Doing it same, assigning. Ensure that if you have created an activity code, you will have to assign it to the activities. If you have created the project code, you have to assign it to the projects. So somebody was asking me a question. They have created a project code and they were trying to assign it into the activities. So that does not happen. If you want to create it for activities, you will have to create an activity code and then assign it to the activity. If you are creating it under project codes, then it is for projects, not for activities. So you'll have to assign it to the projects, right? So you'll have to again click on projects or activities here, and then there is an option called as code, and then click on assign, and then assign what you have created, right? So similarly you will have to do it for resources also. Okay, the next one is creating roles and resources. Roles and resources is, you will have to click on this enterprise. There's an option called as roles, and there's an option called as resources. Now what is roles, what is resources? Roles is a work which is been assigned to some particular resource, right? Now roles can be multiple, so to understand a multiple work of a human resource, this option has been provided in Primavera. Usually if you give only a resource, say about there's a resource called as Avinash. Now when I assign a Avinash, I need to know what Avinash is performing on, because probably Avinash has a multiple roles to play on to that particular activity. So each work what he do has different everything with respect to the cost, the amount of time which he has to spend on that activity, everything has to be monitored with respect to the work what he is doing, what is performing. So when he has a multiple roles to play, I'll definitely make it as roles, and then I'll want to monitor it in terms of time and cost. But if I want, if a resource has just a single work, say assume there's a mason. Now what multiple roles you can exert from a mason? Now mason will do a masonry work alone, there's only a single scope of work what he'll be doing it. So what I'll do, I'll not create him as a role, I'll create it as a resource. When you have multiple roles to perform, then probably I'll create a roles. But if there is only one single work what he is doing, then I'll not create as a role, I'll create as a resource. It's not compulsory that every role should have a resource to be created. If you do not want to know who is doing it, like for example, I have created junior engineer 1, junior engineer 2, junior engineer 3, but if I do not want to know who are these people, then there is no requirement of creating resources. You just can create a role and then assign. But if you want to know who are they, what is their calendar, when they are working, what is their productivity, which particular days they are not working, right, on which calendar they are working. So if you want to know all these details, then you will have to create them as a resource. Role do not have all these things. Role is only to know who is performing and what particular role he is performing. It can be multiple roles also. So every resource we create, you can assign a role to it. Every role you create, you can assign a resource to it, but both are not compulsory. Either you can just create a resource and then assign without creating a role, is still fine. Assuming that I create a mason, a labor, a helper, a steel fixer, these are only resources, there is no roles mentioned to it, because by just telling now what is a resource name, you will come to know what is the role of that. You need not tell what is the role. You create a labor and then assign it to a carpenter, that means he is a labor of a carpenter only. But when you create a junior engineer, project manager and all, when he has a multiple roles to play in it, when I say only engineer, then there is no specific role mentioned there, right? Say I'm talking about engineer, senior engineer, junior engineer. Now when I say senior engineer, just by knowing the designation, do you know what role is performing? Answer is no, because there's a multiple things what we have given him. Now senior engineer can do a lot of things. Now what he is doing at what time and what he has to do for how much time, that is very important, because we call usually as a primary role and secondary role. Primary role is which he is very good at, that's what we call it as proficiency. Every human resource will have a proficiency. There are 5 proficiency mentioned in Primavera. If you have to see it, you click on that, click on this roles, probably any of the role which I'll display all. Right now it is filtered by only to this project, so I'll remove the filter to make it all filters. If I click on this engineer, like I can clicking on this engineer here, this only we are just telling that he is only an engineer, but what are the roles of it, you will have to mention the responsibilities, what are the different things he is doing. Now when I click on this engineer, there are so many people who are doing, you can see this is a resource which we have assigned, there are so many people who are doing this work. Now who they are, the proficiency is to be very important. They are master, expert, skilled, proficient, inexperienced, because based upon this you want what type of engineer. You want a master, we want a proficient, because proficient come with a different cost, master come with a different cost. Based upon your project budgeting, based upon the expertise what you want onto that activity, the cost will also go up or low. If you want more expert, the cost of an activity increases. Simple understanding it is. So you will have to identify the proficiencies also, right? So how do we create? Click on this enterprise, click on roles, click on add. You will get a new role being getting added here. Give the name of the role, right? right? So I've created as civil engineer, and then I'll give what are the responsibilities, which who all the people who are working as a civil engineer. I can be, if I would like to do it, I can do that. Right here I can assign, I can give the prices, standard rate, internal, external, unit 4, unit 5. Standard in the sense, what is the default price what we give per day basis. Internal rate, external rate is again, if incentives have to be provided to anybody, it's an internal rate. External is something allowances which you are giving it for traveling, for an outsider, for anywhere. External could be anything, it could be a project fund also, as in bonus. So unit 4, unit 5 are again the two things which can be added after standard, internal, external, right? You all are there, right? Okay. So then you can give the cost, then the limitations. You can add the limitation and tell that how many civil engineers maximum can be working on to this particular role. So that is how it can be created. And then when you click on this activity to assign it, you will have to click on this detail window, resources. Then if you want to assign a role, you will have to click on this add role, and then click on that role which you have just created, and then click on assign, so that that particular role will be assigned onto this, right? And then you'll be able to see what is the cost, how many roles you want, how many civil engineers to be performing onto that activity. You can increase and decrease here in remaining units per time. So it's a start date, end date, on which particular day these particular people will start their work, and end date. By default, the start and finish, it will take off an activity start date and end date. But after starting of an activity, this particular role have to be performed. That can also be there. This activity starts on 25th, but this particular role should not be, there's no work on 25th. This particular people have to work from 27th to 29. Now you can see here the activity might have started on 25th, but the work is starting from 27th to 29th, only for that particular 3 days or 2 days this role has to perform. Other days some other roles has been performed onto that activity. So that can also be done. You can change the start date and end dates also. So you have an option called as rate type here. If it is an internal rate, external rate, standard rate, whichever the rate of on which you want to assign, that you can add. I did not give a cost, so you can see here everything 0. If you add that, you'll be able to see it here. Similar way, the resource creation is also there, but in resources usually we have 3 categories or 3 types of resource. Rather than calling it as a category, I'll call it as a types now. There are 3 types of resource, that is labor, non-labor, and material. Labor is all the human resource, comes under a category called as a labor. All the human resource comes under a category called as labor. Machineries comes under a category called as non-labor, and material is your raw material, right? So for example, I say or let me just simply make it as a labor to make you understand. I'll make it as labor 1011. Okay, so here we have created a labor. Now this labor is a human resource. So if you want to change, you can change, but if it is a human resource, make it labor. And then in a detail window you have general, where you can give us ID, name of a resource, employee ID, title, email address, everything. As I told you, codes, you can create a resource code and assign a resource code. Then defaults, it's a labor, and currencies on which we'll have to be paying them, what calendar it is using. By default it is using dwelling, because that's what we have created as a default calendar. Then how many labors do you have? Default it is taking 1, but how many labors do you have? In units and prices you will have to give it here. Let's say that I have 10 labors, so I can say maximum I have 10 labors per day, right? So what is the cost of each labor per day? Let's say this is a 400 rupees what I pay for 400 rupees per day. So you can see it's taking 400 rupees per day. For maximum how much we have is 10. Minimum by default how much labors will be added is 1 minimum, that is default, right? So this is minimum and this is maximum. And if any roles to be assigned to this particular labor, you can assign the role if you have created. Then notes, if you want to tell anything to this labor as a note, you can add a notes here. Progress report is some third party application which you can integrate it to Primavera, so that a reporter, somebody who is reporting you from the site, can use that particular software and send you to Primavera, right? So the moment you create it, you can go to the activity. Now to assign it back to an activity, you just click on an activity, then say add resource. You can come under this, and it's very difficult to search here, right? So I'll type labor 011 and then say assign. So you can search box is very important there, and you can see the labor has been added. Now I want 2 labors or 5 labors per day, right? So I have said 5 labors per day, and then totally 15 units it is taking, because that activity is for 3 days or 4 days, whatever. So based upon that it is calculating. And where did it go? Oh, it's here. I did something else, I guess. Yeah, so you can see here 5 labors per day. Now for 4 days it is taking 20 units, and is taking the cost of 8,000 rupees. For that is a budgeted cost for all the 5 days, right? Or for all the 4 days, sorry, it's 400 rupees per day, right? So we have 5 labors per day, so in that way it is 8,000 rupees, right? So you can see that we have totally 20 units to be completed. Actually 0, because we haven't updated this project any, we haven't executed this project, so everything is just a plan. So actuals are 0 right now. So this is how you will have to create a roles and then resources. Similarly, you can create the materials non-labor also, or the moment you click on this, as I showed you, or you can use this box also. For example, if I say it's a cement, I'll say next, and I'll have to click on this material, and the moment I click on the material, the units of measure has to be given. Now for example, I'll say bag, because I've said cement, not concrete. So do we have bag here? Yes, I have. If it is not there, you will have to create it through your admin. So there's a bag here. I just add and then say I'll finish. Probably I'll go to units and prices. Now you can see it's taking per bag, it's not per day, right? So I'll say it's a 390 rupees, 380 rupees, or 400 rupees, whatever, whichever the cement you are buying it. So I've given it as 380 rupees per bag, and that's a unit price. You can see here the maximum units. There's actually useless to tell that how many bags you have, but how many bags you want to use per day maximum, is that what you can say. So I'm just giving it a 50 bags per day here, and then I'll go to this option called as activities. Now to assign that particular cement as an resource for this activity itself, I'll click on add, and now I have an option called as cement here. I'll say add, and you can tell how many bags of cement do you need per day. By default, say that I want a 50 bags of cement for 4 days, okay, but by default it is taking 5 bags of cement. So it's very difficult to tell per day how much I want. I have a total quantity of concreting, for this activity. There's a cement which is required. Now I'll add a cement to this activity. I know what is the total quantity of cement is required for concreting so much of quantity, but the problem is how much per day I want is unknown, so it's very difficult to do it in that way. So what you can do, you can directly go to this option called as budgeted units. Where do we have that? Budgeted units here. So what is, for example, I need say about 40 bags of cement. You can see here I'm just typing 40 bags for this whole activity, not per day. For the whole activity I'm adding 40 bags. So automatically it is taking, because this activity is of 2 days, it is dividing equally and it is telling 20 bags per day. But it's not true. It might not be true. It's okay. For just your accounting purpose, it is telling you 20 bags. Anyway, it is only a plan. How much you have used is not you're telling. You're telling it how much you will be using it. It's only for accounting purpose. Probably you are telling it in that way. Probably you are using 10 bags on a first day and 30 bags on the second day. That you will have to take an update on actuals. Right, this is only a plan. For accounting, I can tell that in total budgeted units that how many bags I want, so I can understand the quantity of the work and then add the quantity here. Alright, so similar way you can add the non-labor also. So this is how you can create the roles, resources, and then assign it to the activities. Once complete planning is done, then you will have to do a baselines. Baselines are another most important part, as Rajat was asking for a baselines. Probably Rajat, what we can do, only people who want to hear about this baselines and all, we can join again sometime else, because it's getting late. It's 5:36 already. We'll continue this on the next class. I'll continue with baselines and progress, because it takes a lot of time now. Progressing manual update and automatic update, and then it will take a lot of time. So with respect to the baselines and updating, we'll continue that in the next class. All right. Anyway, let me see that what has happened with this record.